look, I don't get into this stuff. Like, I find it just ridiculous. But for some reason, I just think that this is just beyond the pale. And it's not even so much beyond the pale that Ben Shapiro or Shapiro, however he...
Shapiro?
Doesn't he have like some thing about how he pronounces his name or
I
something?
have no idea.
I think it's Shapiro, though.
I actually feel a lot of compassion for Ben Shapiro when I see him on TV. I just think of all of the bullying that kid must have gone through, and probably still. He probably goes to fast food restaurants and like people attempt to like dunk his head in toilets as an adult. It's just something he's such a punchable face.
He just shows up at that gym. You're like, you're sure? There's absolutely no judgment here.
And they're like, well, we really are committed, but no, we cannot promise you that, actually. In all honesty.
So apparently Lena Dunham, and this is all, people should understand, the reason why we're reading any of this is because Lena Dunham apparently has been out there doing some advocacy work on voting and on choice for women. That's why we're reading about this. Planned Parenthood. That's why. These right-wingers, there's nothing more than they hate than someone from Hollywood who is advocating. But if it's a woman, it's even more disturbing to them. There is a whole pattern of this. Janine got a lot of this stuff back in the day. They cannot stand a woman who is not intimidated and not afraid to be an outspoken advocate. And when they come from Hollywood, it's even more enraging to them. And that's the only reason why I think maybe it sticks in my head. That and the fact that I have a young daughter. So Lena Dunham has published a collection of essays. It's like a memoir, I guess. And according to Ben Shapiro's Truth Revolt. Not making that up. That's the name of his website. They write, in one particularly unsettling passage, Dunham experimented with her 6 years younger sister's vagina. Quote, this was within the spectrum of things I did, she writes. Wow, that does seem absolutely nefarious. The most disturbing is an account she proudly gives of an episode that occurred when she was 7 and her sister was 1. Here's the full passage. Do we all have uteruses? I asked my mother when I was 7. Yes, she told me. We were born with them and with all our eggs, but they start out very small and they aren't ready to make babies until we're older. I look at my sister, now a slim, tough 1-year-old, and at her tiny belly. I imagined her eggs inside her like the sack of spider eggs in Charlotte's Web, and her uterus the size of a thimble. Does her vagina look like mine? I guess so, my mother said, just smaller. One day, as I sat in our driveway in Long Island playing with blocks and buckets, my curiosity got the best of me. Grace was sitting up, babbling and smiling. I leaned down between her legs, carefully spread open her vagina. She didn't resist, and I saw what was inside, and I shrieked. My mother came running. Mama, Mama, Grace has something in there. My mother didn't bother asking why I had opened Grace's vagina. This was within the spectrum of things I did. She just got on her knees and looked for herself. It quickly became apparent that Grace had stuffed 6 or 7 pebbles in there. My mother removed them patiently while Grace cackled, thrilled that her prank had been a success. They go on now to describe her as describing sexually abusing her little sister. And then there's a correction at the end. This article has been modified to correct a typo in the book excerpt, incorrectly listing Dunham's age as 17. There's a big difference between a 17-year-old examining a 1-year-old's vagina just out of curiosity versus a 7-year-old. But even then, a 17-year-old sister who might be, let's say, applying diaper cream to a 1-year-old. I mean, do these people not have they must not have kids. They are the ones who are sexualizing an act between tiny children that even by her own accord was completely asexual. I am not surprised that the right is doing this because, of course, they're attacking her for anything. I don't know, some guy wrote Mediate. I didn't even print that out. Like he was complaining about this as well. These are demented people. This is a projection of their own sickness, not hers.
I'd also like to add that the right, upon finding that Lena Dunham's sister is gay, are now saying that, oh, the child abuse from Lena Dunham must have done this to her.
Just stunning. Just stunning. And the idea, and I don't want to overstate this. I'm just going to speak in general hypothetical terms. The idea that anyone on the left would chime in and attack Lena Dunham for this is even more disturbing. It's just, they are taking something that is completely innocent and twisting it to serve their own agenda. But it's poisoning our culture. It's poisoning it. 7-year-olds. It's unbelievable. And I got news for you. If she was not out there and putting herself out there to promote women's choice and protect women's rights in that regard, none of this would have happened. None of it.